Hooty hoo, all my stock market gamblers. Welcome today. I'm Tall Mike. So glad you're here. What do we got going on? Well, we're still got that topping pattern going on, right? I mean, we're right a little above 5,000 on the S&P, and maybe they're going to try to push it up a little higher before it comes in. We're between 5,000, 5,100, and the Moon Boys, they think we're going to break up to the top side, get this up to 10,000 on the S&P. I don't see it that way. I think it's going to break down to the downside. Now, maybe they push it a little higher from here, but I think this market is getting ready to top out. It's in the topping pattern. 5,000 on the S&P. Look at the HYG. HYG not making the new highs that the S&P was making. That is a telltale sign that the market is getting ready to come down. Now, there is a lot of risk in this market, a lot of risk. Now, why do I say there's a lot of risk? Well, because the market has gotten very, very narrow. What do I mean by narrow? I mean that out of the 500 S&P stocks, there's only 4 stocks that are really moving the market higher. You see, 4 stocks are responsible for 60% of the gains. 60% of the gains are just 4 stocks. Now, it used to be the Magnificent Seven, but 3 of them have dropped out. We're down to 4 stocks. We got Meta, we got Nvidia leading the charge, we got Microsoft, and we got Amazon. Those are the 4 stocks that are pulling the market higher. But as you get narrower and narrower, maybe we just come down to where Nvidia is the only stock pulling the market up higher. There is a lot of risk. That means there's a lot of risk in the marketplace. Now, the herd, they don't see that risk. Very complacent. They think the market will just continue to march higher. And that's where the market comes and starts to beat them over the head. Believe me, the market has a way of punishing the most people possible, and that is known as the herd. The herd does not see any risk in this market. I see a lot of risk in this market. Now, where do I think you should have your money? I think you should take it out of the market and put it into T-bills. T-bills, 6 months or less, you can get about 4%, a little over 4%. That's good money. This market has a lot of risk. You could lose a lot of money in this market. Now, this is just my take. If you're a moon boy, you got to stay in the market. You got to get in. You got to buy. Buy, as Kramer would say, because it's headed to 10,000. Now, this is the question for you. Okay, so when this market finally does break, finally does have what I would call a crash is coming, right? Okay, my question for you will be, how long till we get back to S&P 5,000, right? How long will it take? Well, let's talk about the 1929 crash, all right? 1929 crash. After the crash, it took 25 years just to get back to the level before the crash. 25 years. All right, well, what about in the dot-com boom? Dot-com boom, the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ was sitting at 5,000, just like the S&P, sitting at 5,000. NASDAQ went down by 82%. Now, how long did it take to come back? How long did it take to get your money back? Took 16 years just until you broke even. Now, if you have that kind of time, that's great. I'm an older guy. I don't want to be in for the crash. I don't want to wait 20 years to get my money back. Okay, now in the real estate market, how long do you think it's going to take to get your money back? But Mike, what are you talking about getting my money back? Well, let's just say you were one of the people that bought a new home. You bought a new construction home a year ago. A year ago, you went out, you saw a beautiful new home, and you went out and you bought it. New construction. Well, you're down on average, new construction is down over 15%. Over 15%. So you've lost 15% of your money. Now, how long till you're going to get that back? My take is it's not coming back. Not in your lifetime, not in my lifetime, not even in the lifetime of the millennial. It's not coming back. Your money's gone, right? And it's going to continue to drop. It's worse than the 15% that they're telling you. 15.3% is what new homes have dropped just in the last year. That's interesting to me, right? But it's worse than that, because what do they do to get you to buy the new home? They buy the rate down. They spend $10, $20, $30, $40,000 just to buy the rate down so that you'll buy the house. And that's probably another 4 or 5%. New homes are probably down closer to 20% right now. But Mike, existing homes aren't down 20%. And you're correct on that. You're correct on that. Now let's talk about that. We really have two markets, right? We have the new homes, which they're selling, right? People are buying new homes and they're down 15%, really about 20%. And then you have the existing homes. They're kind of frozen up. There's not many transactions in the existing home market. Okay, why? Well, because there's no inventory, right? New homes, you got a lot of inventory because they're overbuilt. They have to dump these homes onto the marketplace. And to get them sold, they have to drop the price 15 to 20%. And they're not going to be coming back anytime soon. So existing homes, they're kind of floundering. They're drifting lower, 5 to 10% down in most areas already. Billy Bob got up out here and they dropped 5 to 10%. But you see, here's the thing. The existing homes are kind of frozen up. The number of transactions have dropped about 30%, 30 to 40% in most areas, the number of transactions. Why? Well, because there's nothing for sale. And I agree with that. The inventory of existing home sales is low inventory, right? So there's nothing to sell. Once the inventory comes on, there'll be something to sell, and then they'll be down 15 to 20% right away, just like the new homes are. But right now, it's just frozen up. It's the transactions that are down 30 to 40%. And what's interesting is price always follows volume. See, the volume of transactions is way down right now, and the price always follows the direction of the volume. The price will be coming down also. Now, once again, this is just my take. Maybe this time it's different. Maybe the Fed's going to print money and buy every house there is. And that's a possibility. A lot of people think that will happen. A lot of people think that could happen. That's not my take. You see, my take is that we are overvalued and we have to revert back to the long-term average, which is about 40% less from where we're at. So I think home prices will drop about 40%. I think this bubble is very dangerous right now. We're in this dangerous bubble, the biggest bubble in the history of the real estate world. We've never been in a bigger bubble. You see, it all comes down to, well, basically income. Income, it takes income to buy a house. But Mike, you don't understand anything. They printed 40% more money. The money supply went up by 40%. That's why houses are up by 40%. And that's part of it. They keep printing money. Maybe they can keep prices up here. But the real thing it comes down to, once again, is income. You see, real estate is a dead asset. People don't go out and pay all cash. Now, about 20 to 30% of the people right now are paying all cash. They sold a house. They have all cash. They sold a house in California. They moved to Texas. They have a pile of cash. They buy it for all cash. I get that. There's 20 to 30% of those out there right now. But most people, about 80%, have to go and get a mortgage. They have to go and get a loan. It's a debt asset, right? And to get that loan, they're going to need some income. They're going to need some income, right? The lender's not going to give you the loan if you don't have income. We did that back in 86, 2006. We did that where we just give anybody a loan. If you were breathing, you could get a loan. You didn't need to prove the income. Just say you have the income. They give you the loan. And it ended really bad. It ended with a 34% drop in the house price, right? Okay, but you see, it never played out. It should have been much worse. Should have been 50%, maybe 60%, but it never got a chance to play out. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what they did is they started to print trillions and trillions of dollars. Since 2009, we printed $30 trillion. $30 trillion, especially to prop up the housing market. They can't have houses go down. They can't have the stock market go down. They got to prop up the assets so people feel rich. But the problem now is we're getting this thing called inflation, right? We're up at 9% and down below 4% now. Okay, well, real rate of inflation still up around 7, 8%, but all right, we'll go with their numbers down around 4%. But this inflation is a problem for them, so they have to stop printing the money. But they won't. We'll talk about that in a second. They'll continue to print the money, but you need income to buy a house. Okay, now right now I could explain this to a fifth grader. This is just simple math, right? Okay, simple math. Okay, 46% of your income right now is it goes to shelter if you buy a house now. Go to shelter. 46% of your income. You're making 100,000, 46,000 goes to shelter. Okay, well, that's interesting. Well, about 30% of your income, when you make 100 grand, about 30% goes to the government taxes. All right, that's 76%. All right, what else do you got to do? Well, I got to eat, Mike. I got to eat. Well, food has now taken the largest percentage of your income. You'd have to go all the way back to 1991 to find a time when it took a higher percentage of their income to eat. Right now, it's expensive to eat. All right, it takes about 13% of your income. So we got 46%, 30%, and 13%. All right, so we're up around, what is that? About 90% right there. 90%. Okay. Well, that's interesting. 90%. But we still got to pay for our auto. We got to pay for our car, right? We got to put gas in the car. We got to pay insurance on the car. We got to make the car payment, all right? We got to pay for our health insurance. We got to send in our health insurance bill, right? We got to pay for our student loans. We don't have any money left over. We're over 100% of the money we bring in, over 100%, right? And this is a problem. Now, this is fifth grade level math. You can follow along. Even the moon boys can get this. I know some of those moon boys think they're smart, but I don't think they're all that smart sometimes. But even the moon boys can see that takes over 100% of your income if you want to buy a house right now. So what are people doing? Well, to survive in their house, they're putting money onto their credit card, right? Credit cards are maxed out, never been higher, and rates have never been higher. That's how you know they're desperate. When you're borrowing at 23% interest rates, as much money as you can get on those credit cards. That's pretty desperate. Another way you can tell they're desperate is those buy now, pay later loans. Well, what they're finding out is it's buy now and never pay, because these are people that can't get a credit card anymore, so they give them these buy now, pay later loans, expecting them to pay. They can't pay their credit card bill. Why are they going to pay your bill? So it's buy now, pay never. So these companies are kind of going to go out of business. But my point here is that something's going to give. Even in your area, I know your area couldn't possibly go down, but real estate is sold on the margin. Okay, what do I mean by that? Let's say there's 100 houses on your block, right? 100 houses on your block, and there's 2 of them are for sale, but there's only one buyer. So let's say you're all at $1 million, and the first guy, we'll call him Billy Bob. Billy Bob gets out at $1 million, right? But there's no more buyers, and the second guy, he's going through divorce, so he's got to sell his house. Well, oh man, I'll take 900,000. Well, guess what? All the houses, those 100 houses, all of them now have gone down to 900,000. But Mike, my house never goes below $1 million. I will wait till I get $1 million, and you'll be waiting a long time, because the last comp is 900,000, right? 900,000. But let's say someone else loses their job, right? Let's say there's a job loss and he's got to sell. Well, that 900,000 buyer's gone, so now it's got to take 800,000. But my house is $1 million, Mike. I would never take 800,000. Well, that's fine. You can stay in your house as long as you want. You can watch the death spiral. You can watch your house circling the drain, and that's perfectly fine. No one's forcing you to sell, but houses are sold on the margin. When the first guy gets out, he gets out the top, then the next guy, then the next guy, then the next guy. But what it does, it brings down the value of all the houses in the neighborhood. These are called comparables. They're called comps. These are what appraisers use. So unless you're bringing in someone with all cash, they're going to get an appraiser. And even if you find a buyer that wants to pay more, he's not going to get the loan, so you're going to have to lower the price of the house. Now, this is just common sense, right? Now, I say there's a recession coming. A lot of people say, no way is there a recession coming, Tall Mike. The economy's booming. Just ask that Joe Biden guy. He'll tell you we got the best economy ever. No recession in sight. Janet Yellen will tell you the same thing, but there's a recession coming. People are going to lose their job. These houses are sold on the margin, and these people are going to have to sell, and it's going to bring down all the prices, not just their house. All the prices come tumbling down. The equity you have, it gets wiped out. It can get wiped out very quickly. Like now you got, let's say you got 300,000 in equity, right? Your house is $1 million. You paid 700,000. 6 months from now, they may be selling for 600,000. And now you have 100,000 negative equity, but it's worse than that. You're going to have to pay money to get out of it. That's crazy, right? So you're now $150,000 underwater when you were sitting on $300,000 of equity when Billy Bob sold. But now you got negative $150,000 just to get out of the property because houses are sold on the margin. And a lot of the Moon Boys, they don't understand the concept of being sold on margin. I don't think Barbara Cochran understands being sold on margin means. I don't think Dave Ramsey understands what being sold on margin means. It means there's a recession coming. It means some people are going to have to sell. Maybe there's a divorce, maybe there's a death, but there's a reason they're going to have to sell, and the house is sold on margin. Now, there's 100%, if you want to spend over 100% of your income, you can be one of the people that go in and you buy one of these houses at these high prices, and that's perfectly fine. You can live on credit cards. You can live on buy now, pay later loans, no problem. And maybe the church will deliver some food to you because you're going to be a poor person that owns a house. And anyways, I got carried away today, didn't I? I'm Tall Mike. If you like this stuff, give me the thumbs up. Why not? Why not? First punch the subscribe button. Get out there, though. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.